Welcome, Power fans. We're back to cover episode 6 of Raising Kanan Into the Darkness. And before I begin, make sure you like and subscribe, turn on your notifications. We're covering every single episode in Raising Kanan season 3. So, getting right to it, Into the Darkness. Who descended into the darkness the most? I think that's one of the big things with this episode. I'm going to focus on Lou and Rock. That's what they kind of stood out to me because they had their big confrontation, different from their last confrontations. There was no palming of the head, nobody claiming I own you. This was a contrite Rock trying to make amends with Lou. And because it all fell apart, we see them go in different directions. And you can argue this is where the darkness hit for both of them. They both kind of sent each other spiraling. Lou by denying Rock her forgiveness and her redemption, trying to get back with her family, it sent her back into the game. The only thing she feels that she can do right. I think if Lou would have embraced her and forgiven her, Rock would have continued down the path of trying to be an upstanding citizen, trying to make things work. Because he didn't, it kind of forced her to go back into, well, what can I do right? I can't do right with my family. I can't do right with my business, but I can do this one thing right, which is moving weight, which is what she kind of implied to Marvin and Stefano when she got back in the game. On Lou's end, it sent him spiraling into Scrap's mother, in the drunken stupor, revealing what happened. He's been this wasn't as fleshed out as good as it could have been. I know we've had inklings that he's been bothered by what's happened to Scrap, but we've never seen him completely just kind of fall out the way he did. But it does still make sense because he's been alluding to the whole fact that, I was there, I should have stopped it. So that one moment of seeing Rock again kind of brought all those feelings back. And he's done something that, in a way is unforgivable. No matter how messed up your family is, it's still your family. You protect your family from outsiders. You don't go against your family no matter what. And he's essentially did this because he's put Rock out there in danger. Scrap's mom can go to the police. She can decide to handle it on her own. We don't know if Scrap has any brothers or any of his own people out there. He's really put Rock in danger. And there's nothing like a mother's vengeance. So the word is going to get out. So when Rock finds out that Lou has actually betrayed her in this way, I feel like it's unforgivable. I know it's been overdone in Power where we're having people kill their own blood, but I can see that happening again. Rock is, and especially because she's back in the game now, and Stefano told her that, there can't be any mistakes. There's no, turning back. You can't mess this up, or, is your head on a platter. So she's going to potentially see Lou as threatening what she's trying to build again. And I don't think she'll hesitate. I think this is the one thing that would show her that Lou doesn't have any love for her anymore. So I think I've been on this kick that one of the brothers is going to die this season. I thought it would be Marvin because things are going too good. He's becoming so mature and everything. I feel that would make it more tragic to see him go, especially with the relationship that he's building with Jukebox. But this whole thing with Lou, once you portray the game like that, you start revealing family secrets and things like that. That normally means you're on borrowed time. So Lou is kind of higher in the pecking order now, who I think is not going to make it to the end of the season. So it's something to keep an eye on. But I think those were the kind of the biggest moment was them not being able to reconcile and come together. So we'll see where things go with that. I do think Power has a big, or Raising Kanan has a big problem that's been brewing, and it's actually Ronnie, and it's not what you may think. I'm talking about the character himself. I'm not kind of liking where it's going. So already, as talked about, I thought Unique was a stronger character. I wish they would have kept him around longer. I know that they took him out, and now it's pitting Ronnie as kind of the main antagonist for the remainder of the season. But he's such a one-note character. But I think the more that you show him, the kind of less threatening he is. When he was doing this whole Michael Myers routine and everything, it was kind of startling and it showed how dangerous he can be. But now that he's in the forefront, I'm getting unintentional comedy from him, and I don't think that's what they're intending with a character like Ronnie. When he's rolling up on Kanan and he's like, "Time to go to work, nigga," and all this, it's not intimidating. Even Kanan is looking at him like, "What's your problem?" It's coming off a little too comedic at this point. So I don't know how they're going to rein that in now because he doesn't have Unique to play off of. But I hope we don't see too many more moments of that. Just his interactions with everybody is just getting too funny for me now. Even with Juliana, it's like, Unique's gone. Now we do business. It's like, come on, man. I don't see how anybody's taking him seriously. So it's killing me at this point. So I hope they kind of rein that in a little bit. Speaking of Juliana, she's another one I've been saying is not going to make it to the end of the season. Too much treachery on her part. Her relative might be the one to take her out. It's not her brother. I think it's her cousin that brought her into this business. And now she's doing this behind the family's back, this little side deal with Ronnie. And anytime Ronnie smells blood in the water, I don't think he's loyal to anyone. So I don't think he'd have any uh hesitation about taking Juliana out if he feels it's in his best benefit. So I think she's in danger as well. Now with Rock, now she knows that Ronnie is potentially coming now. She spoke with Unique's ex, knocked the gun out of her hand, and they came to an understanding now. So now they're both on the same side. So now she kind of has someone on the inside because as we know, Ronnie's still going in and out the house. At this point, he doesn't have his own place yet. He went in there and swiped the rest of Unique's jewelry. I'm assuming he's still living in there. So, Unique's baby's mother can give Rock some insight into potentially setting him up. So I think we're going to get that at some point, them trying to do a hit in the house. Of course, Ronnie's going to get away because, it's Ronnie. I don't expect him to go until the end of the season, if not next season. So what will probably happen is Unique's child's mother is probably going to get killed too by Ronnie once he discovers that, she's working with Rock. So but I think Rock is now going to be, I want to see how her leadership is now. Now that she's tried to go straight, now that she realizes it's too much work and that she's not willing to do it, how is her approach going to be different now? Is she going to be more willing to delegate, more willing to see Marvin's counsel, or is it still just going to be a one-woman army where I'm the boss and everyone, does what I want done? So I want to see how her leadership is at this point. And now, on the other hand, with Kanan, we see Kanan moving up the ladder now. I thought it was a nice little homage to the 80s. If you ever look back into the hustlers from the 80s, to mention all them guys that 50 Cent has mentioned in Ghetto Quran and other songs, the pictures, if you always go back into that era, a lot of them love to take pictures in the nightclubs and all that. So we got one of those picture moments where Kanan was actually pulled into the photo by Pops Henry. So that kind of signifies how um, the esteem that Pops Henry kind of holds Kanan in as far as knowing his potential and seeing how he can move up in the game. So how that dichotomy is going to go is going to be very interesting because people have been speculating about who's Breeze. Breeze was mentioned in the original Power as a mentor to Ghost and Kanan and Tommy. And I really don't want it to be Ronnie. I think that would be very anticlimactic based on the way they talked about Breeze before. So I think, we still haven't gotten to that point where we've met Breeze yet, but I think he might be somewhere in that picture for all we know. But I think it's going to be coming soon where we meet him. But Kanan still has a little bit of work to do as far as learning in the game and seeing how he moves his weight. Moving weed is one thing, moving, coke and heroin and all that, totally different game. So we'll see how Kanan handles that. And he's going to be doing it alone because Famous is not in the mix anymore. And I really feel bad about how he did Famous. If anything, you're supposed to know your friends. So Famous is not a street guy. He's not equipped to be handling stuff like that. You really can, I can't really blame him for what happened with Rock because you're basically asking him to try and stand down your mother. And you know how intimidating your mother is because you can't even stand up to her. And you saw your uncle couldn't stand up to her. And you admitted earlier in the season, I think this is the first episode of this, season 3, he said, when he was talking with Lou, he was like, I can't say no to her. So if you know that, why are you being so hard on your friend knowing that you can't even do what you're asking him to do as far as standing up to your mother. So kicking him out of the house and everything, I really felt bad about that. But I do like seeing Famous kind of exploring his art again. He's getting really deep in this introspective bag, doing Tupac, Scarface sounding songs, those very emotional DMX type joints. So it's good to see Famous tapping into that. But where's it going to lead? I really want to see Famous actually be able to get on his feet and be able to be a man, be out on his own. So I kind of hope this music thing really pops off and we can see him blossoming on that end, standing on his own 2 feet. I think that'll go a long way to see him getting, taken seriously. I also do think I think I mentioned this in the last recap that I do see him eventually getting a guest verse on Jukebox group at some point. Probably not anytime soon. I know they're still working out the kinks, but it is going to happen. We're going to see a song with all of them on it, and hopefully it's a hit. Speaking of the group, the manager is all but begging Jukebox to take a leadership role and to step up and take control of this group. We know Jukebox can do it. We've seen her have these flashes of standing up for herself. And one of the better moments of this episode was really her not taking any mess from Ronnie. She kind of can see right through him and she is not intimidated whatsoever. Think about everybody in the neighborhood that kind of just recoils anytime he shows up. She's seen it all. She's not pressed about Ronnie whatsoever. So I thought that was really cool to see her just really just, talk to him like whatever. So, and I think Ronnie recognizes it too, because he didn't push up on her or try and intimidate her at all, like he's pretty much been doing with everyone else on the show. So maybe we should put Jukebox down as somebody that can potentially kill Ronnie too. Wouldn't put it past her. So I think that kind of covers everything. This wasn't like a spectacular episode. It's kind of a bridge to the second half of the season. Um, I know some people out there have made comments on my page, saying Unique isn't dead. I'm still leaning towards that he is. I think if he comes back, that's kind of jumping the shark for the realism of the show. So I think he kind of has to stay dead at this point. I think they're trying to hammer that home, talking about we found bone fragments, in the pipe and the blood all over Unique's hideout and everything. So I think they're trying to really drive home that he's gone. But that could still be a red herring because it says power and stranger things have happened. But I think that, Raising Kanan has been the most realistic show out of all the power shows. So to keep that, Unique would have to stay dead at this point, as much as I do miss the character, because you can kind of feel a void in this episode. We're expecting Ronnie to be that connection or just be that bridge with the connects, as far as everything goes, but it's not hitting the same. When Unique was making those connections and doing that networking, made more sense and it was more believable. You know, Ronnie has no diplomacy, and anybody would see him coming a mile away like Dean did and said, I'm not working with you. So seeing him trying to be able to set everything up, it's not really working so far, but we have what, 3 or 4 more episodes. We'll see where things go. We know it's leading towards this big confrontation with Rock and Ronnie, because Ronnie has it out for her. So we'll see who survives. I'm seeing at least 2 or 3 people not making it. Let me know what your predictions are. We'll be back next week to cover episode 7. As I was saying before, make sure you like and subscribe, turn on your notifications to get these recaps right after the episodes end, around about 1 a.m. every Friday. So thanks and enjoy your weekend.